Three guys chilling on a podcast. Social distancing because it is cool.
Yeah.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to whoever and wherever you are. My name is Harry Barr. This is the 27 podcast, and as always, I'm joined by the wonderful Ben Butler and Joscel and Harry. Now, guys, before we start the podcast this week, I think we can't start without addressing the events that happened in Minneapolis over the last week. Joscel, I think if you want to say something about it.
R.I.P. George Floyd. First and foremost, massive R.I.P. to George Floyd. I think many people can join me in this statement when I say that it was just absolutely unjust. Like, the whole thing was just ridiculous, and all the events that transpired following his death, like not even his death, his murder, sorry, because that is just, in my opinion, straight up murder. It is straight up murder. If you watch the video, you can clearly tell that he was not posing any threat whatsoever. He was clearly there saying that he can't breathe. For the police officer to remain in that position and like clearly adding more pressure to his throat, to me, it's he clearly did it on purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing. So it just, the thought of it just genuinely just angers me. It genuinely just angers me. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What do you guys think?
I think for ever since, I know this, I don't know if this does sound weird or not, but ever since, obviously, I've met Joscel and, you know, he's one of my best friends now, things like this just anger me a lot more. And I've had discussions with Joscel about this before, but it really, really gets to me now. And obviously it did beforehand, and I thought it was so unjust, but it just really, really resonates with me now. And I actually can't watch the video. I haven't seen the video. I've seen the picture and the pictures, but I can't actually watch the video because it just makes me so infuriated. And what this is just how people can justify this, how the police could justify it, how racists can justify it. It just does not make sense. You shouldn't take away someone else's life because of the color of their skin. There is no different threat from a white person to a black person. I don't understand how, and I don't understand why white people feel they have the privilege to overrule black people or people of different color skin. Where does it say that? Where is there any law that states that? Why is white a better color than black? Right? There is nothing saying it, and I just think it is just so unfair. And obviously, all these riots happening, and I think well on them. And then you have Donald Trump tweeting, "Looting will lead to shooting." You are the president of America.
Exactly.
This is where it is happening in America. Yep. You cannot tweet something like that. You are represented, you're the representative of the whole country, not just the people that voted for you. And it's just, it just angers me so much.
I think having sort of seen this happen several times over the last 10 years, I've been sort of tuned into what's happening. I think, everyone's saying, "Oh, this calls for change. This calls for change. This calls for." I think this is finally the straw that broke the camel's back. I think, having seen so many protests, and in the past, you've seen these police officers quite often get away scot-free. Back in work within 2 or 3 weeks, whereas the mayor of Minneapolis was calling for the arrest of this officer. And he has been charged now. But I think I don't think there could be any change until all of the police that were on that in that incident are prosecuted and sentenced.
Absolutely, they are 100% to blame. That police officer that was sorry, Karen Ben.
It's something like that police officer has. It wasn't his first.
Yeah, he did like
Black
17
as well.
previous.
He was like involved in. Yeah, exactly, and that just shows that there is such a divide in America, and it is
massively.
It's just awful. Like, what was it, a month ago that I think his name was Aubrey, the jogger?
Yeah.
Come on. Like, how many of these things need to take place before there's actual change?
It's crazy. It's honestly ridiculous. And I remember when, before me and Ben went off to New York last year, I was constantly telling myself, "Oh my God, Ben, what if I get shot? What if this, that, and the other?" And obviously we were laughing off, but in the back of my mind, it was genuinely something that I was fearing. When I was talking to my mum, I was like, "Yeah, Mum, me and Ben are going to go to New York." The first thing she said to me was like, "Okay, be careful. don't do anything crazy. Don't give people a reason for you to get arrested. Because if you get arrested there, I can't do anything. You're as good as dead, basically. And that genuinely scared me. Like, it genuinely scared me.
But that just sums it up. Why should you have to be scared to go there? And for me, not. Why can I? Yeah, exactly. Why can I happily go there knowing that I'm going to be okay? But you feel that you're fearing for your life. That just literally just echoes what is wrong with America at the moment. Mm-hmm. And I think somewhere like New York, I will defend it. I think it's probably a bit different because it is quite a diverse city in itself. But if we were to go somewhere like Texas or Georgia, somewhere like really Republican stuff, then I can completely understand it. Like it would be awful.
Yeah.
Yep. Also, there's just several stories that have come out of it from just the riots, essentially, as well, and the protests. There was I was looking on Twitter just before we started recording today, and there's an American journalist called Linda Tirado, and she was actually shot by a rubber bullet like in her face, and she's lost all sight in her left eye. She's permanently blind in that left eye. But as people have been sort of coming to her defense, say, "Oh, sue them." She's like, "No, I'm going to do worse. I'm going to write about it." And it is. I do think this is something that is going to start changing. And I saw again on Twitter yesterday there was a Black Lives Matter march in Peckham as well in the UK, and just seeing that, I got goosebumps watching the video of it, just like of everyone cheering it along. And then I think.
But how does it change? This is the issue. And I saw a tweet and it said something like, to be a lawyer, you have to do like 5 years of training. You have to understand the law. To be a police officer, you have to do like a 2-month academy course or something. So people were saying, well, perhaps now to be a police officer, you should have to do a 3-year degree, learn about all the differences in societies. And like myself and Joscel, we did a topic on crime in society, our law degree, and it was really interesting. And you learn all about the theories behind crime and whatnot. And so is that something the police should start doing to get a better understanding of how crime is going to work? Or how people act? Should they do sociology degrees to understand people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I sent you a video just before we start recording, Ben. It was I think his name's Killer Mike, but he's an activist in Atlanta, and it was him going on the news basically pleading to. It was like basically his whole thing was, don't burn your own house down. Stay home, strategize how you can burn down the system through voting and emailing your governor, senator, whatever, for actual change in trying to get rid of this system issue, which has been there for hundreds of years.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys see that video of that black police officer who was basically, there was a massive protest and he was amongst it. He not participating in it, but trying to control the situation. But instead of being like shutting down the protest, he was like, no, you guys have every right to be expressing your opinions and like feeling the way you do. I feel the exact same way type business. Mm-hmm. Did you see that video?
I did, yeah.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I was on Instagram, I think,
it's been circulating around Facebook, and it's basically it's massive. It's like the guy's literally being like, he's a police officer, and he acknowledges the facts that what has happened was wrong, and he also acknowledges the fact that the people are angry and they have a right to basically speak out, really, and not having to fear their lives from the police officers. Does that make sense? So it's just it was just like Harry, it was just so empowering to watch. And it just made me feel like, oh my god, like I'm just tired of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'm only 21, but I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of like having to constantly have these fears in the back of my mind, even though I'm in England. But like, that being said, though, it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen.
I was going to say, racism is everywhere. It's not just.
It is everywhere, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it just angers me thinking about it. Oh well.
No. I think that's a pretty good time to sort of move away from that topic. It's a pretty down way to start the podcast, I know, but it just needed to be addressed and discussed. But this week
we go from one morbid thing to another morbid thing.
Exactly, yeah. So this week's Nothing to Watch. We watched the Netflix documentary "Don't Naughty F Word with Cats." It's don't fuck with cats, don't frick with cats. That one. Guys, firstly, what were your initial thoughts on the documentary?
Messed up.
If you ever watched the first episode, don't watch it whilst you're eating your dinner. That's what I did. Put me off my dinner. Couldn't eat it anymore. But no, but like it is messed up. But I think once you get past the first episode, it's only 3 episodes, but like all the, I'm essentially going to say the gross stuff, like the killing of the cats and stuff, like that's done. So it's a lot easier to watch. I found the second and third episodes.
Even
the first
I still think the second episode still starts pretty gruesome. I'd say halfway through the second episode is when you can they stop showing stuff like that. But
they don't really show any of it.
Well, no,
they
true,
show the build up. But yeah. No, I just found the first episode, I was really like, oh, this is gross. The second and third one, I was like, oh, it's not too bad.
But the thing that the fact that it all stems from like a little group chat on Facebook, right? Like it's literally hunting down this guy, looking at every single tiny detail. The thing that struck me was like, they were looking at the cigarette packet and they're trying to like see where in the globe this guy was.
Like,
that was next level.
I was like,
like, wow. Fair enough.
So like, this is like a North American pack of cigarettes, but that doesn't mean he can't be, in like, he couldn't have gone to America on holiday, bought some cigarettes and come back with them. Or like there was he was playing a Russian sitcom in the back. Like he was constantly playing cat and mouse basically. And like the channel that he uploaded to, he had 1 liked video and it was the trailer to Catch Me If You Can. Like the Leonardo DiCaprio, Tom Hanks film. And it's just, I going back to the investigation tactics, like the thing I picked up was the blanket, the wolf blanket, and the vacuum cleaner, and how they were able to find those just from like, I think like one of them was like they managed to track it down on eBay, and then the vacuum cleaner, she went to a forum and was literally just like, oh hey guys, you know what this vacuum, and just like within minutes she had a response like, oh yeah, this one, but you can only buy it in the US. And she was like, right, well in North America. She's like, right, okay, it's one of these 3 countries then.
Yeah, it was obviously the whole. So this Facebook group basically investigating these killing of who this killer was of the cats, and then it leading on and on and on. So obviously the investigation stuff was like amazing. Like it's very clever. People are clever. Let's be honest. And that also then leads on to my second point of serial like killers and serial criminals and stuff. They really are clever. Like they have proper masterminds. Like they, if you think about all the serial killers and stuff, and if you were like, right, if you actually put your brain to something else, you could, do amazing in whatever. Yeah. But like the intricate details of his plans and how by the end you find out that they all have connotations of all these different movies because he loved movies. And then there were, homages to other killings, other serial killers.
Yeah, so like I think the YouTube channels and the YouTube channels and the sock puppet accounts, like they were like named after either serial killers,
the Moore killings,
the Moore's murders. I think, yeah, like they were linked to those, like as in the victims or the actual killers, and it's incredibly messed up, but it's impressive how he was able to plan it, really. I mean, I know it sounds horrible saying it, but like, I think even
that's like, what I mean, is they are clever people. They have it so finely tuned, but his downfall was his vanity. His ego. Yeah, he cared about himself too much and wanted to be known. So that's what that was his undoing in the end. So.
But and it's like I think on that Facebook group. So there was initially the public one, then they made that private one after the incident with Jamsey. But when they posted it, like I think sort of the 2 people that were there was Body Moving, which was like an online alias for one of the people, and then this guy called John Green, which is another online alias. I don't think you find out his name throughout the whole thing. But it's just when they posted the CCTV footage, they were interviewing Body, and she was like, "Yeah, it was. I didn't know what I was watching, but just this just random CCTV footage of this German shop, and then all of a sudden you see all of these German police officers walk in with the berets and the combat gear and everything, and then just walk out handcuffed to them." And
it was amazing, though, isn't it? How he managed to leave Canada, go to Paris, and then end up in Berlin. Like that isn't, and it was a proper worldwide, like international hunt. And
I think it's a testament to how good like the sort of international, like Interpol and things like that, how they were able to track him from literally just like one place in Canada to, you know, the airport. Then they went from there to Paris, then there to, and then they were able to find where he was in the motel, and then his new identity, and then they tracked it from there.
Have you watched Catch Me If You Can?
I haven't, no.
No, I haven't.
Oh, you should watch it, boys. You should watch it. It is really good. It's
Really
when
I hadn't really heard of it either, and then when it popped up and it was like Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, I was like, what an odd pairing! It's like to be in a film together. I was like, because like
it's
to
a
me,
good one.
like Tom Hanks is like a rom-com kind of guy,
yeah.
And I know he's done some dramas and they are very good, but then like Leo is more of the drama kind of guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, that seems like such an odd pairing, but clearly it's a good film. So
it is a good film.
I need to watch it, actually.
I was just going to bring up though, like at the end, what do you think about when they were like, did we fuel him to kill?
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I mean I think it's when Body, she turned to the camera, was like, even like directly addressing the camera, was like, even you guys at home watching this now, you are in a way fueling this. Like but don't make a documentary about it. Then. Exactly.
Like, why, if she's one of the key people who's saying she shouldn't have been.
But like hers and sort of John Green's thoughts on, sort of like, did we fuel? Like, would he have even carried on after had we not started this track down for him? Because you know, he was so obsessed and engrossed in his own ego. Would he have stopped if he only got like 7 views on the video? You know.
Well, I feel like either way, whether they got involved or not, somebody would have picked up on it, and somebody would have sparked that, you know, that search.
Yeah. I mean, it could have started in the UK.
But that's the thing is, but it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I do agree, but I don't necessarily agree with the whole looking for him. I don't think there are many people in the world that would actually go and try and hunt this person down, and I think that is what fueled him. He was like, oh, now I've got people looking for me.
So he wanted to
that is exactly what he wanted, and that's what I think. So I do believe that they probably fueled him in that sense, but I think if they didn't go looking for him, I think I don't reckon it would have escalated.
I do want to know sort of what you guys thought about the sort of, I think it was about halfway through the second or third episode, they introduced this existence of this person called Manny. I think Manuel Lopez, or Manuel Lopez, I think his name was.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in typical Netflix documentaries fashion, it just cuts to this one guy in New York, like, oh yeah, I've been an attorney for this long, and it turns out like he, like Luca had gone to him and was just like, I've been like abused by this guy, I've been stalked by this guy, you know, called Manny. I need help. And he was like, even like within, I think, so he went to him like mid 2011, and he was eventually caught in 2012. So the, just the future planning for having this guy called Manny, who he convinced his mum completely about the existence of this guy, and he told the attorney about this guy. So they were both like, oh, hang on, this must be an issue. And then he said, oh, when I killed the guy, you know, I was being forced to do it by Manny, you know, I was getting phone calls from this, phone calls from that, and it does put a sort of seed of doubt into your mind, like, oh, hang on, wait, was he manipulated to do it? And then I'm like, oh, there's only 10 minutes left of the whole documentary, and they're like, oh yeah, no, he didn't receive any phone calls on that night. And you just think, and it goes back to the film references again. There's a character in Basic Instinct called Manny. And it's like, oh, he actually just orchestrated this entire thing on his own. Like, what was your thoughts on that?
Just again, how clever. Like, I just genuinely do believe that is so clever. And you know, the links to American Psycho, the links to Catch Me If You Can, the links to Casablanca, how he went from Toronto to Montreal, will always have Paris, and ends up in Paris. Like, it was just, like, it was so well thought out, which is a really weird thing to say.
He was planning out his alibi a year before he got caught.
It was like,
that is actually genius.
But then again, it does go back to his ego then, how he was caught looking up his own name on Interpol.
Well, yeah, that is the most ridiculous thing at the end of the day. How
I did quite like the guy the guy in the shop that ended up catching him. This guy who was reading the news, like, oh, there's a guy who murdered somebody, and just looked up and just sees him. He's like, oh, hello.
Imagine that.
I don't know what I'd do,
What
in,
do you
that
do
situation.
I'd be like,
I think
holy-
I would start panicking. Yeah. I think
I'd freak out.
I imagine he would catch on. I'd be like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
How would you calmly went, you want internet? Oh, yeah, follow me this way.
Well, yeah, I think you do have to remain quite calm. So, like, when I was watching it, like, I had to take a break after each episode, really, because it was so intense. And I got this new sort of smartwatch, and it tracks your heart rate and stuff. And I got a notification saying my heart rate was weirdly high for not doing any activity, and it's because I was watching that. I'm like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? What's gonna?
Yeah, no, it was really good though. It was a really good documentary.
Yeah,
it's definitely it is worth watching.
Did the guy in the shop call the German police, or did they just?
Yeah.
No, he didn't call them. He was. If you watch the footage back, he was stood in the doorway looking for a police officer, because if he started to ring, then the guy would probably get quite, he'd probably notice it. So it was per chance just this guy doing some training with some cadets. That's why there were so many police officers there. It's because he was just driving along with like 8 cadets.
Imagine that, you're on like day 2 of your training and you caught an interval serial killer. God.
Yeah.
But then I found it really interesting about them when they were extracting him back to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I didn't think about this, but commercial. They were going to put him on a commercial flight.
Yeah, well, obviously he would have
been. If I
been.
was on a flight and there was a blooming serial killer at the front, I would off it. I'd be asking for my money back, everything. I don't understand. Surely they have like prison planes that they could just carry people around on.
Yeah, when they said like not one single commercial airline would touch him, and that's why they had to get the military involved. But then,
but that's what I mean. It's like, why would
it's like
you
a double-edged
ask
sword, though? Because it's again putting the world's focus on this one guy, which is what he wanted the entire time. Like, obviously, he never wanted to get caught, but he wanted the infamy from it, essentially. Yeah.
I don't know. If I was on a plane as a murderer now, I'd be straight off.
That's a bit of a weird one, to be honest.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So what are we watching next week?
So next week we'll be watching the Netflix documentary Becoming, following the story of Michelle Obama and how she has become so prevalent. Hopefully be a bit more lighthearted than
Michelle Obama.
So guys, I got some good news. When researching podcasts, like how to start one and things like that, a lot of the people were saying most podcasts don't get past the first 7 episodes. And I don't know if you're paying attention to the little title down there or on your podcasting app, but this is episode 8. So I think, guys, we've made it.
Yeah.
We're in for the long run. Let's go.
We have done it.
We've done it.
I'll tell you what, it's been a great 8 episodes as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
We've had some good guests. We've
got good guests. We've had great reception in terms of feedback for it. So clearly we're doing something good.
Exactly.
Just such naturals. So guys, I have something a bit different.
Okay.
I was having a think the other day, and I was listening. In fairness, I was listening to another podcast, and they were talking about this like futuristic technology. I can't remember what it was, and it kind of put us into my head. I was like, oh wow, that'd be quite a cool thing to talk about. So I've written down some futuristic tech that it's only 3. But I just want to know whether you think it is going to be doable, if you ever think it's going to happen, or if it's just completely gone.
Not going to happen.
So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is smell-vision.
Smell-o-vision.
So, for example, smell-o-vision. So you are watching a cooking show, they're cooking something, and you can smell what they're cooking. So will there ever be a time where we can smell from screen to screen? So Gordon Ramsay's making a lovely steak, and he's like, and they go, oh, it smells great. Are you going to be able to sit there and go, yes, it does?
But then, the question that comes to my mind is that just limiting it to cooking shows? Or like, what if you're watching...
No, just anything. So
a documentary and
like a documentary about like a David Attenborough documentary, whether in the savannah. I don't think it's going to smell very nice, Ben.
Yeah, but you don't have to like. It could be like a. It's
like a
it's a feature toggle it on and toggle it off. Yeah,
the smell.
I mean,
that's such a cool concept.
It potentially could, but I don't think you'd be able to do like large scale. And would you have to like refill it like printer ink? Like, oh no, I've run out of strawberry scent. I need to order some more.
Well, no, because it'd be coming from the live thing, wouldn't it?
Oh,
So it's not like, yeah. So it'd be like, so it's not like, right. Say I'm just, made some toast, and so you have a toast cartridge. So it comes out. It doesn't work like that. It would be, you can smell the toast from my screen to your screen.
I don't know how that would work.
That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, it'd be cool.
If we're just taking it from the concept as it is, if you could just do it and it's possible without any complexities, that's sick. That's so cool. But I can think of so many variables to why that would not work. But if it did work, that would be so sick.
Yeah, but that kind of fits nicely with space travel. So that's the next one we'll talk about. I bet 100 years ago, everyone was like, "Oh, we're never going to be able to get to space," and look at us now. So moving on to space travel.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think we will ever popularize another planet?
I think we already have the technology to do so. Like, I mean, you've got people like SpaceX who actually big up SpaceX and NASA for launching the first American manned shuttle the other day, yesterday. That was.
Yeah. Did you watch that live stream?
I did actually. It was sick.
Yeah, it was.
And I saw it in the sky.
Good.
But yeah, I know.
Did you?
I'd like to think that it was, because it was moving quite quick and it was moving up. So
yeah, no, you could see it from the UK. So yeah, you probably did.
Really cool.
No, I just watched the live stream. But firstly, actually, side tangent, I know, but they had a little speed counter in the corner. Like, so I think I was like, oh, it's already at 300 kilometers an hour, literally just like 500 meters in the air, and then it just kept on going up and up, and I was like 1,500 kilometers an hour. I'm like, jeez.
Yeah, madness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Crazy. But yeah, right. So do you reckon we'll popularize other
100%.
planets?
I genuinely believe that there is a planet out there that has a similar ecosystem to ours, obviously slightly adjusted, but enough for it to be popularized by us. Does that make sense? Obviously, we would adapt.
In the Milky Way. Oh wait, not in the Milky Way. Wait, Andromeda. The planets that we're in.
Oh wait, we're in the we've got our solar system. Then you've got the galaxy, which is
in our solar system, there isn't one, is there?
No.
Well, so I think
how do we get to universe?
How do we get to but how the hell do you leave a solar system?
So I think
Richard Branson's onto something there. I think Richard Branson's building a spaceship, right, to take us to another planet.
If anyone's doing it, it's Elon Musk.
Yeah, so SpaceX. So SpaceX have been wanting to occupy Mars for ages. They actually wanted to. Like NASA also wanted to do it as well, was to have another bunch of Apollo moon missions, just basically to test out the equipment they would have taken to Mars. And they do plan on doing that in the next 50 years to be able to either do another moon mission or to go to Mars to think about populating it. Because the one thing is, I think they did tests or whatever, and the gravitational effects on Mars means you can't come back to Earth. I think your body wouldn't be able to adjust back properly unless you had massive rehab.
So once you're there, you're there.
So I think once you're there, but I think theoretically, I think in the next 50 to 100 years, we could easily have a colony on Mars.
But what would happen? Would we bring cows and stuff with us as well?
Well, obviously, you'd probably have to have a vegetarian diet of sorts. But you probably could eventually in the future transport eggs to have chickens or something. I don't know, but you could live sustainably there. I reckon. Plus, you've got stem cell meat being grown as well now, so you wouldn't even need cows and stuff.
It's crazy to think about, isn't it? It'd be
The way
cool
I
if that
picture
was
it,
a thing.
I think it will be like WALL-E, where we all end up on a massive spaceship in hovering chairs, right? And then we go.
And we'll just get incredibly
really fat.
That's what it's going to be like.
Oh god.
Okay, the final one is: do you think there will ever be Chromeless Bread?
Chromeless bread?
Wait, that's your
bread.
That's your final. Ben,
Imagine the build-up. I was rattling my brain and I just came across this thing. It's brilliant to talk about. Chromeless bread.
It would be so good though, wouldn't it? Because then you wouldn't need to necessarily get a Hoover to clean up after yourself. It would be a winner.
Ben, perchance, were you watching a cooking show whilst you were thinking of these 3 futuristic techs? One of them was smell of it.
No, I was not. I was actually buttering my toast.
And another one is Chromeless Bread.
I was buttering my toast this morning, going, God, I'd love it if it didn't leave crumbs everywhere, so I don't have to tidy up myself.
Chromeless bread, though, it would be such a.
Well, you have to think though, if it was crumbless, would it even be bread anymore? Would it be this brand new wonder food that doesn't have crumbs? You know,
it'd still be bread, wouldn't it?
Well, it's like when you change. It's like when you change a broom. You buy a broom, then you change the handle, then you also change the brush bit. Is it still the same broom? You know, if you have bread, then make it crumbless. Is it still bread? You know, it's one of these philosophical questions you have to ask.
I'm lost for words.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, isn't it?
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
I mean,
it'd be a bit of a game changer.
It'd be one of the most
because you could eat it like all the time, but no, it wouldn't. Because like, right, say you're in your nice suit, your nice black tie dinner, and you've got a bit of bread and butter to start. You know, you got some bread and butter to start. And you know, you don't want to have to do this whole eating over your plate nonsense. You can just eat it, knowing it is not going to drop down you, and you're going to still look pristine.
I think we really could have used that
one of many scenarios.
Raiding whatever for their meal deals, and then coming onto the train in suits and
exactly. See, it's a bit of a game changer. Okay, and now we've got a new game.
Oh, is that not the game? Oh, right.
No, that's not the game. The game is the judge is in session. Don't know if you can hear that.
You want a jingle for that?
So what we're gonna do? I just want a bit of a dit.
All right, fine. So
the judge is in session is where I'm gonna give us. Well, it could change each week, but not each week. Whenever we play it, I'm gonna give us a topic. And in that topic, you have to talk about a specific thing and whether you have to basically argue for whether it is good or bad. But this week it is good. Okay. So this week the theme is, what is the ultimate indoor leisure game?
The floor is lava. Hands down.
Sorry?
The floor is lava.
No, that's not a leisure game. I mean table tennis, pool, darts, bowling, that kind of thing.
Oh.
So you're going to get 5 minutes each. So obviously we'll cut this out of the podcast. And you've got to come up with an argument for which one is the best. And we're not going to do the same one. So you've got to pick now what you want to do.
Table tennis.
Bowling.
Okay, I will take darts. I'll take darts. And yeah, so we're going to go away now. And we're going to have a little thing, and we're going to form some arguments for you all on which one is the best. And then I want to hear from you guys about which game is the best. So just give us a message on Instagram. Okay, see you in a minute.
Order. Is that a good jingle? I don't know.
Okay, we're back. So we went away, we took a few minutes, and we've come up with some arguments for what is the best indoor leisure game. So I'm going to start with Mr. Manarambona with table tennis.
So my first reasoning for why table tennis is probably the best social sport is because it's a good sport that can really burn calories. It's a high intense sport, if you think about it. When you really get into it, you're like constantly moving. I don't know anybody who has not played table tennis and not worked up a sweat. If you haven't, you're not playing it properly. Just saying.
I mean, can I just butt in actually? It's a leisure game we're supposed to be talking about.
And it's sick. Either way, you're going to work up a sweat. If you're competitive like me, you're going to work up a sweat.
Is that your whole argument? You're going to work up a sweat. So that's why it's the best game.
Are we only allowed one argument?
No.
No, but keep going,
that's my... Oh, so we're not going round?
No, keep going.
Okay, calm, sick. Secondly, it works on your other skills like hand-eye coordination, which is pretty nice and dandy, which in turn works on your reflexes as well. Nisba. Nice. It keeps the brain nice and sharp because obviously when you see them fast balls, you've got to your brain's got to break that down and be like, oh my God, it's going to go there. Bam. In turn, works with the brain. It's a very social sport because you can have as many people play. If you want to play at round table, like you just leave it to 2 people, that's fine. Lovely stuff. And fun fact for you, it has links to improve dementia, which is why older people love to play it as well.
Oh,
yeah, because it keeps your brain firing, doesn't it? So it helps them. It reduces the risk of dementia.
I'll make sure to get a table tennis table put in the home then. Fantastic.
Come at me,
Thank
boys.
you, Mr. Manorambona, Mr. Bar.
Right, so I had bowling, which is, by the way, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but I really, really love bowling. So my first point is it's a social sport. You can have up to 10, maybe even 15 people playing at the same time. You know, it's there. You're with your friends. Also, it's adaptability. It's very adaptable. You can have the bumpers up. You can have them down. You know, the little barrier things. You can also, if you want to introduce an element of like skill. You can have trick shots only or weak hand only, just to try and find who is the best bowler, whilst also having fun and making fun of people who mess it up and get gutter balls. Also, you can play it any time of day. You can go in the morning, you can go in the evening. Unlike darts or pool, that's mainly just an evening time thing. If you go for a game of darts at the pub at 11 o'clock in the morning, you're an alcoholic. If you go bowling,
objection.
Really cool. Rad. It's sick, mate. Also, the refreshments. If you go to any bowling alley, there's nachos, there's chips, there's burgers, there's you can have a beer, you can have soft drinks, you can have popcorn, you can have anything you like. It's incredible. And then, so it's also challenging. So Joscel said the hand-eye coordination. Bowling, you have to be dead on precise to get the right. There's maths involved as well, so you can be very calculating with it. And then to top it all off, there's just some banging tunes anytime you go. You've got the covers that they couldn't get the licenses for. The actual good places have the good music. And then also when you get a strike or a gutter ball, or you hit a 3 or a 10 or a 9 or get a spare, strike. Everything. There's always a wacky animation on the TV, Plus, you can do nicknames. So that is my argument for why bowling is the best indoor leisure sport.
Thank you, Mr. Barr. I will now move on to why darts is the best indoor leisure game. Anyone can play it. There are no physical requirements. You have a look at the professional game. Everyone is of different size. That is the joy of darts. You do not have to fit into any said mould. You can enjoy it with a nice pint. You can play on live television if you're a professional with a jug. You can do it at the local pub. You can do it at home. You can play darts anywhere. It's easy. Unlike table tennis or bowling, you have to bring large amounts of equipment. All you need for darts is a dartboard and one dart, essentially. You could take it anywhere. You could have a travel-sized dartboard. You can't really do that with the other two. The skill ceiling is so high. You can either be really bad or really good. You can hit 320s. You could hit 3 bullseyes. It also works the brain. You've got to calculate your score. And then you've got to get down from 501 to 0. It is a really good, fun game. It is quick fire. Unlike the other two, you can just play a really quick game of darts. You could finish a game of darts in 9 goes, or you could finish it in 50. You can take as long as you want on it. And finally, it is easy to learn. All you got to do is learn how to get your dart in your hand and chuck it at the dartboard. And you just got to aim for the highest score you can. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why darts is the best indoor leisure game.
I would argue. I would rebuttal
yours as well, but we agreed no rebuttaling. Yeah. So that's the way it is.
I'm just saying, if you want to say something's easy, bowling. There's maths involved with darts. Yeah. I'm not very good at maths.
Okay, but you were going on about concessions. They cost a fortune in a bowling alley, so that's not very fun. Also, to play a game of bowling is about £10.
Yeah, but you get a pair of shoes.
You play darts, it's free. If you go to the local pub, it is free to play.
Also, again, a pint in a pub. Anyway, right.
You could literally buy a lime and soda for 50p and play a game of darts.
You could buy a lime and soda at a bowling alley.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be 50p. It'd be like 10 quid. Yeah, you have to pay to bowl.
Bowling's an expensive. Out of the 3 sports, bowling is the most expensive.
Yeah, we said which is the most fun, which is the best. We didn't factor in price and cost.
So I don't know how we're gonna decide who won this, because we would obviously ask the people to vote, and we will take your decision. But if we vote, we're just going to vote for ourselves. So
We're gonna have to
I think should we make it that we have to vote for one of the others?
Yeah. Okay, but my vote will go for Joscel in table tennis.
My vote would go for darts, for practicality. To be brutally honest, it just is so
Come
practical.
on, Harry. Deciding vote, and you can't vote for yourself. So
I think you've done an injustice to the wonderful sport of bowling. Also, you can play it on television. I've watched it. They have their own Ryder Cup for bowling.
Harry, I didn't say you couldn't play it on television, but I just want to know who your vote is for.
Right. Okay. So my final vote, as someone who has played both to varying degrees of success, I would have to go with table tennis.
Yeah. I think I agree though. I do enjoy playing table tennis. So I think it is the best.
You guys are really sleeping on bowling though. I love it.
Bowling is not fun. It is not fun.
It's not fun if you're bad at it. But if you're good at it,
you can say that about any of them. But I think if
the whole social aspect of it, though. Like you can have with darts, you can two people.
All of them are social.
With table tennis, you can have four people play.
You can literally have as many people as you want.
No, but at the same time, though, like whereas with bowling, everyone's playing
and all have a go.
You know, I mean, you've got to factor that in. You know, I just think the inclusivity of bowling is far higher.
No, well, your argument is over. You lost. So, well done, Joscel. You've won the first judges in the session, and we'll carry that on.
Order. Is that good jingle? I don't know.
Okay, guys. So next week we do have a guest booked in. I had a message about 20 minutes ago from her saying that she is confirming. But we have Lily Grimshaw coming on, who is going to be talking to us about sort of feminism and where she thinks it is at the moment, where thinks it's going in the future. I think it'd be really, really good, interesting topic. Also, she happens to have the coolest cousin in the world. Not sure.
Yeah, I'm a pretty cool guy, so yeah it is. No, she's actually Harry's cousin, so
I'm really
looking forward to it. It'll be an interesting topic, I think, and it'll be something that is quite a prominent thing nowadays, and it'll be interesting to see what she, as you said, what she believes feminism is right now, and where it could go in the future. And I think it'll be good for us as well to talk about it and see what our opinions are. So come back next week, please.
Thank you very much for listening, guys. Once again, rate us on whatever you listen to us on. Give us a like on and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a
the numbers.
Let's go. 5-star rating on Spotify if you loved it. If you didn't love it, on Apple Podcasts if you loved it. If you didn't love it, let us know. We'll see what we can change, maybe. But thanks for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Adios. Goodbye. Sayonara. Peace.